Okay, folks, this review is a couple of weeks old, and I've had the notes typed up, but I have been incredibly lazy, and I feel terrible about it. Total Recall. This should have been hand in hand with the Minority Report review, because I had promised it then, but here it is on the 12th of February 2025, and we're just now sitting down to review Total Recall 1990, directed by Paul Verhoeven, and it has an hour and 53-minute runtime. It is considered a 90s sci-fi classic, and it was supposed to be a part one to the Minority Report that Spielberg directed, which we reviewed here on the channel. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is Paul Verhoeven, who is known for other sci-fi classics such as RoboCop and Starship Troopers. And one day I will get around to reviewing Starship Troopers. My buddy Jonathan has requested that one for a while, and I do have a video cassette copy of that. So this is an adaptation of the Philip K. Dick magazine story. It's a novelette, as it were. It's called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, and it was published in a magazine called the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction in 1966. So again, this is an adaptation of that short story made into a full-length motion picture. The film had a massive budget between $48 and $60 million, and it would go on to be immensely successful, grossing over $261 million at the box office in 1990. The adaptation for the film dates back to the early 70s. The film rights were bought by a guy named Rondal Shushet in 1974, and it took the studio over 16 years to finally put the project together, and filming began in 1987. And it was one of the most expensive sci-fi films ever made at the time, or movies in general. And if recently I reviewed the David Lynch Dune, it was filmed at the same studio that Dune was filmed at, because they had massive sets. Filmed at the Churubusco Studios in Mexico City. This film won an Academy Award for special effects and a musical score by Jerry Goldsmith. So obviously this movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it kind of leaves you questioning what's really going on throughout the whole film. The premise of the movie, basically the Schwarzenegger character, he wants to go on a vacation to Mars, but he can't afford it. So there is a place called Total Recall that will implant memories in your brain so you feel like you really went on a vacation. But before they are doing the actual implant, he's having recalls that he had really been to Mars, and that's kind of where the mystery of the film takes place. These movies from the late 80s and early 90s, to me, it's just kind of comical to see how they picture the future. For example, all the technology for the television screens are old school tube-type CRT television sets, and the technology does feel very 80s, but I really love practical effects in movies of this time where there's not too much CGI. It's all prosthetics and makeup and real set design, which is why they use the huge studios of Churubusco in Mexico. I love that about this film. I find it very dated. There was parts that I was drawn in and captivated by, and then some of it's incredibly cheesy, like one of the prostitutes on Mars has 3 breasts, and my wife kept rolling her eyes and kept saying, that's why you wanted to watch this film. I had no idea. Overall, I would say this is a fun Saturday matinee film. It's not going to be up there on the canon of Corey movies that I will want to go back to. It does have a pretty good Rotten Tomato critic average, 82%. And over 100,000 audience members submitted their review to this picture. And their average for Total Recall is 79%. Here she is. She's coming in. Wait, come back. I want to hear your opinion. Whatever. So 79% Rotten Tomato critic average. IMDb is 7.
I need you spam.
7.5 out of 10. Wait, really quick.
Breakfast.
We're talking about
breakfast spam.
Total Recall. I'm about to give my review. I am 3 out of 5 on the Total Recall movie, and I mentioned how you hated the fact that there was a 3-breasted space woman on Mars.
Where's the 3-armed man?
Oh boy. So I'm 3 out of 5.
It's a children's channel.
What do you
I don't think
rate?
it's child
Just so I
friendly.
could put it on the books. What do you rate Total Recall?
It's pretty dumb.
I know it's been a couple of weeks.
It had its moments of laughter, though.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like 2.5 out of 5. I can't.
And this movie was a huge success. It made over $200 million at the box office, $261 million. So people loved it in 1990. But I think it's just very cheesy. It's a one watch. I probably will never revisit it. So I'm sorry for those of you who hold this movie in high regard. And I do not have a copy of this to demonstrate because I rented it from the local library here where we live, and I already returned it. Why are you wearing sunglasses? Are you too cool for the channel?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
glad you figured that out.
Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.